You're clean, aren't you? Except for your tower. You're a tower junkie, Roland.
Hello and welcome to Tower Junkies, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. Tower Junkies is a podcast devoted to Stephen King and his magnum opus, the Dark Tower series. We discuss the themes, characters, and mythology of the series in Palaver episodes and review the books and comic series in Kef episodes. We also discuss King novels related to the Dark Tower series, non-Tower King novels, TV and film adaptations of King's work, and the latest news about potential Dark Tower-related adaptations. You can find more of our work at TowerJunkiesPod.com and follow us on every level of social media at Tower Junkies Pod. And for more great podcasting content from ObsessiveViewer.com, go to ObsessiveViewer.com/podcasts. I am your host, Matt Hurt, and today on the podcast, we actually have a very exciting special episode for you. About probably a month or so ago, I read an article in the local newspaper. I'm here in Indianapolis, by the way. And that article was about this man, Cameron Grimm, who was basically pursuing his dream of filmmaking by filming his first short film. And that short film just happens to be based on Stephen King's short story from Night Shift titled The Man Who Loved Flowers. It was a Dollar Baby project where he submitted to the Stephen King Dollar Baby project to get a contract to film an adaptation of the short story. So he got the contract and it was greenlit, and they did it. Cameron's production company is called 5 After 5 Productions. You can find them at 5after5productions.net. That's 5, the number 5, after 5, the number 5, productions.net. I'll have a link to it in the show notes, of course. And yeah, I was just very inspired by his story and very excited that there was a Stephen King property being filmed in near my hometown. So they filmed the Man Who Loved Flowers in Greenfield, Indiana, which is a little bit east of Indianapolis. It is the quintessential Stephen King town. It is what you. So when I go on road trips, when I go to visit my friends in Evansville, I'll stop by little small towns to get gas and stuff. And I will think, okay, this is a Stephen King town. This is a small town that seems very much in keeping with the descriptions of all the locations that Stephen King writes about. And Greenfield, Indiana is the epitome of that. They filmed The Man Who Loved Flowers along Main Street and some other very interesting locations. And I was actually fortunate enough to be able to go to the set while they were filming, and that was a blast. And it was just fascinating to me, and I'll get into it more when I play the recordings, which, by the way, I have interviews with all the cast and crew, as well as Cameron himself, that I'll play here in a minute. But just seeing them work together, Cameron assembled this great crew of people behind the scenes, behind the camera, in front of the camera, and they... just to see them work together, it was so fascinating to me because they were so tight-knit, so welcoming of feedback from each other. It was just an incredible experience to just sit there and just be able to watch these people work together for this project that is going to be amazing. So if you're not familiar with The Man Who Loved Flowers, it's from the Night Shift collection. It's a few pages, just about a man walking down the street in New York City, and there's a Stephen King twist to it. So in talking to Cameron and in talking to the crew of the short, there are some alterations that are made that are really, really incredible and really kind of speaks to the magic of the Dollar Baby project, in that you can take this short story that was created by Stephen King, this massive name, and you have enough leeway to make it your own. And the things that Cameron is doing to the story is so great and creative that it makes me very excited to see the finished product and to see what Cameron and the rest of his friends at 5 After 5 Productions, to see what they come up with in the future, because it's incredible that Cameron has this dream to be a filmmaker. He's had this dream for a long time, and he is pursuing that. And just right out of the gate with this first film that he's making is so amazing. It's just really inspiring to see him work together with such a talented crew and cast and do everything so there's a spirit of professionalism and like this feeling that everyone knows what they're doing and they're doing great work. So anyway, that's The Man Who Loved Flowers. I can't wait to see it when it's finished. And you can find Cameron's work and all of 5 After 5 Productions at 5after5productions.net. Link is in the show notes. So as I said, I was able to visit the set and speak with Cameron and his cast and crew, so I'm going to go ahead and roll those interviews now. This first one is the interview with Cameron. We sat down a week after filming completed, and we talked about the process and talked about his approach to adapting a Stephen King story and some more information about the shoot and about editing and everything. So without further ado, here is my interview with Cameron Grimm from 5 After 5 Productions, the writer and director of The Man Who Loved Flowers, a Stephen King Dollar Baby project. And today I'm here with Cameron Grimm, the filmmaker behind The Man Who Loved Flowers, a recent Dollar Baby project from Stephen King's Dollar Babies that was filmed in Greenfield. We're actually in Greenfield right now to record this episode, like right probably 10 feet away from where one of the victims in the film was killed. And it's just if you hear noise and everything, there's a lot of stuff going on. But it's so we have Cameron here to talk about the experience of doing a film based on Stephen King's work and his first film even. Why don't you tell us about yourself and about 5 After 5 Productions and everything? And you're also here with Ricky, who I didn't catch your last name. Ricky Connell. All right, and Rick Connell. All right. So go ahead and tell us about 5 After 5 and how the project came to be.
Yeah, I started 5 After 5 about 2 years ago, and basically it was something to be able to follow my dreams, bring other people involved that have the same kind of dreams. Mm-hmm. And we brought on a great cast and crew to go ahead and do this movie by Stephen King. We got the contract back in May. Sent out and told him that I wanted to do this movie, told him why. I said I like the complex character, I love the complex story. 2 weeks later, in hand, we had contract through the email. Nice. And sent my portion back with $1, for the rights. And he said, we're greenlit a week later.
That's fantastic.
So, it's been a great experience, and we're very excited to do what we're doing right now.
Sweet. And, of course, The Man Who Loved Flowers was from Stephen King's, I believe it was his first short story collection back in 77, I think. Night Shift. It's a quick little 3-4 page short story, but you definitely, and we'll talk more about this in going forward, but you definitely made it your own. You expanded it in some places and definitely made some interesting choices. I was fortunate enough to be here for the filming of it for at least one of the days, and I definitely appreciate you letting me come and kind of watch you guys work.
Absolutely.
But it was just a really great experience, and seeing the like we have interviews with the different cast and crew here, but just this location, both in Greenfield and this location in general, the Art Center, was just really great for that type of environment for the story that was being told. So obviously this has been a dream of yours forever.
Yeah. Since I was a little kid, yeah.
Yeah, and you're finally getting it off the ground, and you're finally pursuing it, which is something that is completely incredible, and I'm super pleased that you're doing it. So, what made you want to go to this particular project, or how did you come to The Man Who Loved Flowers?
All right, yeah. Had a buddy of mine who told me that Stephen King was looking for people, young filmmakers, new people that are even in film school, to be able to do a movie of his in his short films. He had different ones that he wanted done. So what I did was I went ahead and looked at what he wanted and everything like that, and I just I'm a big Stephen King fan, so I went through a few different books of his, and it's kind of funny you talk about that book that he did and everything like that it was in, and that actually took place with the same film for Children of the Corn. It's a very it's a very popular book.
Oh yeah.
So I was very impressed, and maybe that's something we can do in the future, but
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. And how's the editing going? Because you guys wrapped production, that was at this point, at the time of this recording, 3 weeks ago?
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago?
Yeah, from today. Yeah.
Nice. And how was the shoot, and how's editing going and everything?
Editing's been going pretty well.
Nice.
Day one, we've only had one session. We're doing some stuff, independently on it right now, and I put out there that we've been all smiles with what we've had for the most part, and we're very happy with what we're going to be able to put from this already, from what we can tell. So
fantastic, great. And how was the shoot in general? Like, I know that you guys were going to shoot at a particular location. Correct me if I'm wrong. For the last on the last day, and then that changed up a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. We filmed here 2 weekends. It's been a great time. I want to go there because I'm very appreciative we talked about Greenfield being a great town, and we've had businesses come through and help us out and let us shoot in different places. But the last weekend that you're talking about, the very last shot, we were going to shoot in an apartment itself. We did change locations to keep it here in Greenfield, and it was a great night. We 15 people in a small room. We had to shut off the air conditioner, and it got really hot in there, and our victim was in a sweater underneath a comforter even then, so I'm sitting there fanning her half the time with the clapper board. And we had a lot lot of fun that night, and then we had one great effect where when he hit her, one of the guys splattered blood in his face. And it went all over the room. We were going to keep it controlled. We had this completely done, and it was on the ceiling. It was on the walls. It was on the lampshades and everything. Man. It got on my face. It got everywhere. And we're like, well, that didn't go. But when you look on camera, it's amazing. And
nice.
And it's going to be awesome. But
that's fantastic.
We spent 45 minutes to an hour cleaning that all up. And But, it was a great scene. We brought on some extra props, and stuff. One thing I think everybody might look for in future films is, in one of my first pictures, we had one of the wind-up clocks.
Oh, yeah.
That ring and everything.
Nice.
And it said 5 after 5 for our 5 after 5 production. So I put 5 after 5 on the face. I put it on there. So I'm going to put that in every single film going forth. Someplace so you can look for it.
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, a little $9 prop I bought from Walmart. It's probably going to be the most greatest thing we ever had.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
What was the experience like filming in Greenfield, and especially like on Main Street here, which I told you this when I came to visit, that it's like the short story, it takes place like on a New York City street, and obviously we're in Indianapolis, the greater Indianapolis area. You can't really go to New York City, but what's amazing is that Greenfield, it is a perfect stand-in for the quintessential Stephen King town in Stephen King's stories. And how did you come about? How did you reach the decision to let's shoot in Greenfield? And how was the experience with the town?
And it's funny that you say that, because Bobby Darko, our cinematographer, Josh, our sound guy, they told me, they said when we drove up in here, this is definitely a Stephen King-esque city. He would be very proud to call this, a place he probably would have called a movie and everything like that. And I totally agree. It's in one word, it's been surreal. I mean, I grew up in Greenfield from when I was a baby all the way to when I moved to Newcastle when I was 11. So I spent half my childhood here, and we're filming we're recording this right now. They're in Riley Days, which is right outside right now. And I grew up down there doing the festival, doing the parades, doing the flowers in the Riley Memorial, and we even ran a booth out here. So, I mean, I grew up on this downtown street, and what I did was when I was looking around, I said, well, I'm from Newcastle. Let's start at Newcastle, and they've been doing construction and stuff down there. That's not going to happen.
Sure.
And then, I started going around and Google Earth. And I started walking around different downtowns, just trying to get an idea. I'm not driving all over the place for it.
Yeah.
But and this Greenfield sat out, and I took a couple screenshots of what I was looking at. I put it on our secret page that with all our casting crew on it, and I said, "This is what I'm looking at," and everybody pretty much agreed with that.
Nice.
So, this has been it since day one. We've had some sound issues, with construction being shut down 70 coming down up and down, but other than that, it's been wonderful. People hanging out of the windows, hanging out at Grigsby Station, watching us, driving around 3 or 4 times because they just love what we're doing. And then Rick was here with me that one day when we had the different houses and stuff, and I mentioned to a few of them, I was like, we're going to have some angry homeowners. They're going to be mad we're out here filming in front of their house.
Sure.
And from what I've heard, they all came out and knew exactly what we were doing.
That's
we're very,
amazing.
very happy that we're doing it. And, I mean, it's just what the vibe's been across Greenfield. I feel like we're like one of the biggest things going on lately.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a movie filmed here, I guess, since the mid-'80s. So that makes a lot of sense why, a lot of people are excited about what we're doing.
Oh, yeah. And there's such a big thing, like, in the local, like, filmmaker community about how, Indiana doesn't get, like, the tax incentives of, like Georgia and Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. Like, we don't get that, and it's such a travesty because this, like, the state of Indiana is a great place to shoot for really anything.
It's frustrating. Yeah, very much.
Absolutely.
And they tried to pass a few things on that, and it just hasn't gone through. Yeah. And, we've watched a few movies here recently, and that Georgia thing pops up every time.
Yep.
And, I would love to make it big sometime, with this, going forward and be able to change that for Indiana.
Oh, absolutely.
And we have some other filmmakers here in our local area, one in Newcastle filming Catherine, and another one that filmed a movie that did very well about Alzheimer's. And we talked about, maybe getting together and working on some stuff, lightly.
That's awesome.
We haven't really went too far into that because we're all busy. But
sure.
But that's the dream right now is that,
Nice.
I would like to get big enough to be able to put a studio in Indiana and change that format where you got Atlanta, you got New York, Chicago, L.A., Hollywood, and then Canada up in Toronto. Let's change that. Let's bring something Midwest, something that people can actually appreciate and look for and love that it's here and not somewhere else. So.
Oh, yeah. It's just, that's fantastic. And that's such an admirable way to look at it because it's not just one person or anything. It takes a village. There's a whole community of filmmakers, and that's really fantastic to kind of keep that in mind. And it's just Indianapolis, even just Indianapolis itself, like the very notoriously Fault in Our Stars was filmed in Pittsburgh when it was set in Indianapolis.
Even wore Pacers jersey in that movie.
Yeah, and I think I can't remember if it made it into the movie, but like I think it's the Funny Bones at the Art Museum. I think that's an integral like part of the book. And it's like they could have shot it here, but it's all a whole thing, and I think that it's something that would be really great to change just for not only for the state of Indiana and for the area, but just for filmmaking in general, because you get so many films that are filmed in Toronto and New York and LA, all these places that are just like, I know that Christopher Nolan shot The Dark Knight Rises in Pittsburgh as opposed to Chicago because he literally shot as much of Chicago as he could for Gotham City. Right. And it's like, open it up to something like here.
Yeah, and I find that Indiana's really cut off the hands and feet of a lot of filmmakers because we love what we do. We do what we can, but we can't do too much because we don't have that opportunity like most places do.
Right.
So, that's the big goal there. And I think when you come together and you try to prove what you're doing, maybe we can make something different, and change something in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to The Man Who Loved Flowers, and also Greenfield, because you mentioned at Grigsby Station, people were watching, like when you had when Jordan, one of the actresses, when she was getting her makeup done, I was in there watching, and then like people just from Grigsby's were just like snapping pictures and like looking like it was surreal, because the makeup effect was so gruesome and so well done that it was just hilarious to see the reactions. And
that was her first time doing a movie and everything with the makeup, and I'm really hoping her confidence comes through on that, because she's done a great job. And you were there, I believe, when we were standing on the corner waiting for that light over and over and over again. It would not change. Right. And that car just stopped, and she looked over there and she said, "Oh my God." And then they just took off. It's like, that's exactly what we're going for.
It was great.
When we brought the hammer out, we brought the bigger hammer, and the first victim was like, "Oh my God!" The next one was like, just stunned, and then that's what we're going for. So these are key things that we look at, and we see that it's going to tell us what an audience is probably going to be able to do.
Right.
And as I told my casting crew, when we were doing this, I said, we are a team. Don't just go off of what I want to do. If you see something different, you see a better idea, I said, if I'm the only person that likes something and 9 other people don't like it, more than likely 9,000 people are not going to like it and 1,000 are going to like it. So
right.
Let's do what we're going to do best with the project, and let's make something great. So.
Nice. Now, the day after I visited the set was the last day of filming.
Yes.
And you guys filmed at a baseball diamond. How did that go? Because I know that you had a ton of extras and a ton of people there.
That was a very difficult thing at first, because they have so many diamonds there, and what we were looking for, we wanted to find the best look. But Greenfield baseball youth there, they were great. They turned on the lights for us. They opened up the bathrooms and everything. And what we did was we had so many kids there. We had put out a casting call. We had people from my work that brought their kids out there. We had the local theater that had some kids come out that way. We had an all-star team that was playing from Greenfield that actually was in the baseball diamond next to us, that came out and was extras and signed their papers and everything. And they're a great team. I mean, they did some turns that we got on video, with the ball and everything like that. And our crew had a great time. We got some aerial shots with the drone. We Bobby Darko was running after people down going home, and it was kind of funny. We were on third watching the guy go home, and all of a sudden he just takes off the camera after him and hears me and Sound just standing back at third base like, we didn't know he was going to run. But it's going to be a great shot, And for about 20 minutes we just sat out there and let him play, and we just filmed it all, and we got every extra that we wanted that we could that I can most, I sent an email in some kind of form saying, hey, I want to include as many people in this as I could. And I said, we have a baseball scene. We could have people out there in the stands, cheering and everything. And, we like to have you here. And we had a lot of people in the stands, too, on both sides.
That's fantastic.
So, somebody told me, a few of my crew members were kind of surprised how many people. They were expecting to have a few people out there, and then they saw all this out there. So amazing day.
That's fantastic. Yeah. That's really great, because I know that like if you had like just a small amount of people, you would have to kind of fake it to make it look bigger, and like you can always kind of tell when that's done. But that's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so you did alter you adapted the short story
based upon the story of thinking, not the story of
right, which is great. Like that's the best way to do it, especially with his short stories, because like this one in particular, it leaves so much open to putting your own spin on it. And so, how did you kind of tackle that from a writing perspective and from planning it out?
So reading the story. I love the story. We go through it, and there's some holes in it. I think that's about the same with any kind of movie. My main thing that I really wanted to focus on with this project was we're not in New York City. We're in Greenfield.
Right.
We're not back in the 60s there in Vietnam. We're in present day. So the story had to be as close as possible as it could. We had to change a few words. We had to change a few scenes. There were 2 women outside a laundromat.
Okay.
Two people outside a laundromat that were smoking, and that just doesn't fly anymore, and everything like that. there were people playing quarters. That didn't really work out anymore. They don't really pitch quarters anymore, or nickels, or what they called it back then. And then stickball, so that's why we changed it to baseball. So, we kept it as close as possible as we could, and then I had to add a few scenes, what happened to Norma, where does that come through? Why is she actually doing this? We added some extra stuff on. The radio said there were 5 people that had already been killed by the killer. We wanted to kind of give a little bit of what happened to each one of those people, and we kind of changed the story a little bit for each killer, and then I threw a twist in at the end and the credits, so everybody needs to kind of wait for the end of that to see what happens there. And I have a buddy that has almost every book signed by Stephen King, and I let him take a look at that, and he said, this is actually a twist that might actually make him want to write a sequel of what happens down the road. Yeah,
you had told me about that, and it's great.
Yeah,
it's
so
great.
I'm really, really excited about that, and maybe that'll come through and everything. But
Sure. So I think we're getting kind of shoved out of here a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. But just to kind of wrap up a little bit, first of all, thank you for your time and for letting me visit the set and everything, and being so gracious with your time. Where can we find 5 After 5 Productions, and what's the time frame for when we may be able to see The Man Who Loved Flowers?
Time frame's kind of up in the air right now. It all depends on editing and everything.
Sure.
And this guy beside me, which I'm sure you're going to get in a few minutes on, but for the music and everything, Rick here. But you can find us on Facebook. You can search 5 After 5 Productions, or it's actually facebook.com/5 After 5 Productions. You can find us on the new website right now. It's still kind of being built, but 5after5productions.net. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, you name it, we're out there. So
perfect.
Yeah, we're on the. You check the website for those as well. So.
Sweet. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks once again. Check out Cameron's work and check out everything in the show notes as well. And once again, thank you so much, and congratulations on completing the shoot, and best of luck in the future.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right, and thank you once again to Cameron for letting me bug you guys on the set, and letting me kind of just nerd out and watch you guys work. It was a blast, and he's such a down to earth guy, and everyone in the crew was so down to earth and friendly that I was very, very happy with my experience there. And also, when I visited the set, I was definitely wearing a Stephen King shirt. It felt appropriate. So now I'm going to go ahead and play the interviews that I had with all the cast and crew that was there. I interviewed a couple of the actors, as well as the makeup department, and the cinematographer and sound guy, also the composer for the score, and some other people. I'm going to just go ahead and play that, and enjoy. Okay, and could you go ahead and just give me your name and where you're from, and some information about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Chris Abel, and I live in McCordsville, Indiana. And I was cast for the film to be the actual flower man, the one that sold the flowers on The Man Who Loved Flowers.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm really, really blessed to be able to do that.
Nice, that's awesome. And yeah, so are you like a local actor, or have you had any other acting experience or anything like that, or was this just kind of a spur of the moment thing for you?
I've been acting about 3.5 years now. I've been involved in probably about 20 independent feature films, and then I've done some TV and also some different like web series type acting and stuff like that, and I really enjoy it. But about 3.5 years I've been doing it.
Well, that's awesome. That's definitely a lot of credits to accrue in 3 years. So that's definitely fortunate for you. What attracted you to this particular film, and what attracted you to taking this role, and how did you get into the mindset of a flower salesman?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, when you put in for a film, the director cast you for what he wants, the casting director for what role he wants you to do. But what really brought me to that was when I saw the casting call announcement was it Stephen King. I mean, come on, Stephen King, that's like, all his stories are like, top of the line there. So I put in for it, and then I got picked to be the Flower Man. So, any role you can get in any film as an actor, you'll take it, And, or at least I will anyway. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's going to be a good film. Glad to be part of it.
Nice, that's awesome, and it's definitely what attracted me to it, because I saw the article about it being one of Stephen King's Dollar Baby projects, and Stephen King is obviously, I'm a huge fan of Stephen King, and just started a podcast about Stephen King, so it's definitely something that I was attracted to. So I definitely reached out and wanted to make sure I was here and see what was going on, and kind of take a look at the production and everything. Having said that, are you how familiar are you with Stephen King's work, and do you have have you read any of his work? Do you have a favorite adaptation or book or anything like that?
Well, I really like just about everything he's done, and a lot of the work that he has done, I believe it or not, I watch it over and over, and to try to hone my skills as an actor. And but his involvement and everything is just, you have to like that kind of genre, you know what I'm saying? And which I do. And just, everything he's done to me has been, fantastic. So that's why I'm really happy to be part of it.
Nice, that's great. And how's the shoot been so far and everything? And how's the whole production and everything been so far? This is the second weekend you guys have been working?
Yeah, this is the second weekend of doing the shoot. I did all of my scenes last weekend, and it went very, very well. And I've had a good time doing it, and all the other actors and the cast and crew are just fabulous. And I tell you what, though, being an actor, I got to give a big shout out to my wife.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because she helps me go over my lines and all that, and helps me get ready for the movies and stuff that I get cast in. So a big shout out to Lisa. She makes this happen for me.
Oh, that's terrific. That's fantastic that you have that support and everything, and that's something that's definitely needed when you're doing work like this in any kind of creative field, for sure. Have you ever been to Greenfield, or are you familiar with Greenfield in general? Because I know that this is my first time coming to Greenfield, and while I was driving through down Main Street that we're in front of here, I just thought this is a Stephen King town. This is so what I would imagine a Stephen King story to be set in. So do you have any experience in Greenfield, or any background with Greenfield?
Well, pretty much either once or twice, or once or every 2 weeks. Me and my wife meet, her sister, and we come out to the restaurants here and eat. It is a cute little town. Mm-hmm. And my granddaughter, she's an actress and also a singer, and she was taking singing and music lessons here. So, yeah, I've got some connectivity with Greenfield. It's a very nice town. Just to come and visit and sit out on the main street, and have a Coke or a beer or something like that. I mean, it's just a beautiful little town.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely got that impression just coming down here and seeing it. I'm from Speedway, so that's a nice little town, but it has that giant racetrack there that kind of makes it a little less quaint than it could otherwise be. But yeah, Greenfield seems just beautiful and great. So talking about your acting credits and everything, and your background with that, what got you into acting, and what got you to take the plunge to start going out for projects and everything?
Well, really what happened was I did 30 years in the military, then another 11 and a half as a Department of Defense civilian. So when I moved up here, a friend of mine invited me to give a motivational speech. And when I did, one of the people in the speech sent me a free thing to go eat at Maggiano's. Well, me and my wife had just moved up from Miami, so we didn't know what Maggiano's was. So we were looking at the actual menu and what they had online, what they had to eat and stuff like that, and we saw where there was a link to put in to be for a detective dinner there.
Okay.
I told my wife, said, hey, look, we can go over there and be in the show and at the same time get a free meal and stuff, so it'll be pretty good, get a little bit of money in our pocket.
Nice.
Well, when I clicked on the link, and then I saw this other thing, it talked about the Chicago Fire.
Okay.
So I said, well, you know what, let me put in, I started off as an extra, I said, let me put in for Chicago Fire.
Wow.
And then the next thing I know, Chicago Fire, and then I did a couple things on Chicago PD and Med, and then I went down to Atlanta and did Rectify.
Oh, really?
Played upscale businessman there, and then it just kind of, hey, Chris, can you do this, can you do that, and and going to the websites too help you. You got to go there and find it and then put in all your information, your pictures and stuff. Yeah. And then it just kind of snowballed,
Nice. That's amazing, and obviously you've got to travel for it, going down to so many different places. I would assume that Chicago Fire is filmed in Chicago. I'm going to guess.
Chicago Fire, Med and PD, they're all filmed up in Chicago at Cinespace.
Okay, nice.
And there's some locations where you shoot out on the street.
Sure.
But it was a good experience.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. It was really good.
Nice. Do you prefer the work of working on TV, or do you prefer like working for independent films? And do you see much of a difference between the two jobs, or is it just kind of like show up, do your scenes, and get your paycheck?
Well, I don't see a whole lot of difference. Not really. You're standing there, you got your lines in your head, and you got the other actors there, and they say action, you make it happen. Because the film is done the same way, whether it's going to be on the big screen or it's going to be on a TV screen, doesn't really affect the actor. You know what you're supposed to do, you know your lines, and you do your scenes. Mm-hmm. So, but I enjoy it both. It's really great.
Nice, that's fantastic. And what about some of the independent film work you've done? Do you have anything that you've done lately that we could maybe see?
Most of them, believe it or not, it takes a lot longer for a film to actually get completed and to get out there. And matter of fact, on 4 November, there's going to be a film that me and my granddaughter were both in. It's called The Promise, and that's in Terre Haute, Indiana. So that will have a little premiere and, a little red carpet walk, and that's in Terre Haute on 4 November. And, of course, the family's going to come because me and the grandbaby's in it, but we're doing that. And then some of the other ones are they're not finished yet.
Sure.
It takes them a long time. Mm-hmm. But there should be several of them coming out.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and so your granddaughter, was she getting into acting before you got into acting, or did you influence her to take the step toward that, or was it vice versa, or how did that work out?
Well, she's really my little buddy. We do a lot of stuff together, and so I said, hey, we got this film thing. You want to go do that? She goes, yeah, I'll do it, Grandpa. And then and then it just kind of when something that fits her, because you got to fit the role. Mm-hmm. And so we've done. I think she's got 8 credits now on IMDb, and before long she should have 9. And and she it's our time together. Mm-hmm. And I just enjoy it being with her and all that. But Sadie's really, she's my little buddy, and we go out and we do films together and all that,
Nice, that's fantastic, and it's great because the Indianapolis area and Indiana as a whole, there's kind of a big drive to try to get tax breaks and stuff for filming in Indiana. A big point of controversy was a couple years ago when The Fault in Our Stars came out. That novel is set in Indianapolis, but they shot and it includes scenes that are at the art museum, and they had to shoot it in Pittsburgh because the production got better tax breaks to film in Pittsburgh, and so there's been a big campaign and a big push to try to get tax breaks to come back for filming in Indiana. And just judging from Greenfield itself, in different locations around Indiana, I think there's this preconceived idea that Indiana is just it's all farmland and racetracks and stuff, but it has so much that can be filmed, and it's such a great area, and there's such a great creative energy to the local industry. So how do you feel about that? Do you agree? I guess that's kind of a loaded question, but yeah, how do you feel about the local film scene of Indianapolis and the greater central Indiana area?
Well, it's the middle of America. There's you got Indianapolis, which is a city, and believe it or not, you do have the racetrack, which could be used in a film. Mm-hmm. And it has been. Years ago, they made a film called Winning. And you got the small town, and then you got the country, and there was even a film that me and Sadie participated in Indiana, a small town, and it's called Fleshing Out, and that should be coming out, and that's by Julie Long, was the director. And there's a lot of stuff you can do in Indiana. It's wide open. You got the country, you got the small town, and you do have the city factor. And they even got done shooting a movie in Columbus, Indiana, and it's called Columbus. Mm-hmm. So you could do a lot in Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing Columbus also, because that's going to be at Heartland Film Festival, and that's another thing that Indiana has going for it, is that there's a lot of nice local film festivals and things that are kind of growing into bigger things. There's Indie Film Fest, Heartland Film Festival, and different things like that. So Yeah, and I'd forgotten about Columbus until you mentioned that. But yeah, it's definitely a great area to be in, and I'm sure that the film industry of the local areas is definitely growing and expanding. So where can people find you, like, online? Do you have, like, an online presence or, like, a website or anything?
Pretty much. I just, I got all my stuff on IMDb. Mm-hmm. Chris Abel, ABEL, IMDb. And then, of course, my granddaughter's on there, too, Sadie Abel, ABEL, IMDb. And I don't have, like, a big website following or all that. I just, I enjoy being on set and doing it. Greatest word in the world is action, And then you get to do your thing. But, yeah, it's great. I have a good time with it.
Nice. Well, that's fantastic, and yeah, thank you so much for chatting with me. And you said you finished up all of your scenes last week. Is that correct?
Last week I finished all my scenes up.
Great.
So we'll just wait and see what happens.
Yep,
my granddaughter finished hers too. She's in this too.
Yeah? Oh,
Sadie's
nice.
in this one also. Yes.
That's fantastic. That's great. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it when it gets completed, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of your work and everything.
All right then. Well, hey, have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye. Why don't you just tell us your name and where you're from and your role in the film here? Okay.
My name is Christian Condra. I am from Indianapolis, and I am playing the young man who is the killer in The Young Man Who Loves Flowers, or the Man Who Loves Flowers, not the young man, but the Man Who Loves Flowers.
Nice. Well, I just watched you guys shoot a couple of scenes here, and it looks like it's coming along really well. It's looking really great, and I was talking to Chris who played the flower guy, and I was telling him about how just Greenfield just looks like you stepped into a Stephen King story, and it's really great that this production seems to be going so well. How do you like how it's going? And this is the second weekend of shooting. How's it going for you? And how'd you come about getting the role and everything?
It's been going really well. I will say it's very long, but the end product is going to be really good. What I did was it was from a Facebook ad. They have Facebook pages about auditions and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds interesting." And obviously, the Stephen King title is what was very enticing. Mm-hmm. So, why not? Why not try it out? And I did, and here we are now.
Fantastic! And how long have you been acting? And have you been acting in anything in the local scene here that people would have maybe seen?
I've been acting for maybe 4 years. I'm more of a theater guy. This is my first time doing anything film. I do a lot of stuff downtown at Footlight. I've done Bob Harbin productions. I've done Buck Creek productions, and theater all around Indianapolis. But this is my first time doing an actual film in front of camera acting style.
Very cool. Footlight, that's more musical stuff. Are you a musical guy?
I am a musical guy. Yep, nice. I did Spam-A-Lot, the musical there, and I played Sir Lancelot.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep, I had to get stripped down and wear a big bedazzled codpiece.
Nice. How do you feel the transition is going from theater productions to film production?
It's very interesting, and there's pros and cons, but something I do love about it is there's the option to take your time, go over a scene, and really go in depth with it. With theater, you're working on it for months and months and months. But with film, the day of, you run it so many times, and through those so many times, you kind of develop. Oh, this is how it works. This is what the character should be doing. This is what interacting with the elements that are there, and it's very in the spot, and that's what I love about it. It's very challenging, and theater, having a theater background. Everything's big, you have to be very over dramatic on stage. Yeah. And I think it's a lot easier to tone it down than to have to go bigger. So I do take that into consideration. I love that I have that background and that experience to know, don't go this big, but just go like we can see you up close on the camera. We don't have to see you 50 feet away in an audience.
Right.
So
there are no takes of you just screaming your lines. Good. So yeah, this is obviously based on a Stephen King short story from his Night Shift collection. Do you have any history with Stephen King? Have you read any of his books, seen any of the adaptations, and what kind of prep work did you do to get into the role of the Man Who Loved Flowers?
Actually, as a kid, I was a huge fan of the It movie, or I think it was like a TV series or something. But when I watched it, it was just a VHS movie, and I was it terrified me, but I loved it. I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I would watch it for some reason. And actually watching the new It movie brought in a lot of inspiration, because the young man, he has this quality that's, he's a great guy, but there's just something about him, and I mean, in a snap, he goes nuts. And taking the new It movie for inspiration, and American Psycho as well.
Oh, nice.
I love the Christian Bale adaptation of that, and I think it's very interesting. I took a lot of that into consideration when trying to be a little crazy. Like the subtlety of craziness is something that I find very interesting instead of going over the top.
Right.
So.
Well, that's definitely terrifying to hear. But yeah, so how has the production been? And I think I already asked that, but what kind of how have you felt about the production so far, and how do you feel about the cast and crew and everything? That I'm asking with them around.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to keep it very secret. No, it's very cool. Again, being from a theater background, I know a lot of theater people from Indianapolis. This is my first time meeting what I consider the film people of Indianapolis. So it's been very interesting and a really, really great group of people, very, very talented. I was actually thinking about this last night. These people, they love what they do, and you can tell by what they do on the set. And it's very inspiring. It keeps you in the motion. It makes you want to act more, do more for the scene, and it's I'm hungry, and these people are feeding me. And I love it. I love it.
That's great. And just watching the takes, just seeing the different inputs that people, like the suggestions and everything has, it just seems like you guys work so well together to just say, like, oh, why don't you do it this way? Oh, yeah, well, we'll try that. And it's really nice to see that kind of setting for this particular set, and seeing that the production's going so well and everything. So how do you feel about wielding a hammer and murdering people?
Well, to be honest, my arms, it gets sore, which is really, I didn't think would ever happen. I'm a noodle anyways. I'm not very strong. But it does take a little bit. I got to stretch out the shoulder. Sure. You got to, it's our we'll call it like the hero hammer is very heavy. It's very heavy. So we got to work it out. But it's fun. And a hammer it's a good tool to kill people with. Yeah. So.
I would agree, but I don't want to put anything out there. But yeah, so did you read the short story beforehand?
I did read the short story because a lot of people aren't familiar with that Stephen King story. So I was like, I'll check it out, read it, and I loved it. And something that I loved about what we're doing is it's branching out a little bit more. We're not going away from the story, but we're branching out to kind of create a little bit more substance, because it is a short story, so Stephen King can only fit so much, or he only wanted to fit so much. But we're adding a lot of depth to the character, a lot of background, and Norma has become more of a character now too. Instead of just being his wife that is his first victim, this is someone who he cherished, someone that he loved, and I think there's a lot of connection that viewers will have to that.
That's awesome. And yeah, reading the short story last night, that's one of the things that's so cool about this Dollar Baby program that Stephen King does, is that it basically is, it's a very brief story, like 4 pages, and then there's enough there to just really push it and really expand it. And it seems like you guys are doing that really well with this. It looks really good. Do you have an online presence at all, or anywhere that people can find you?
Just Facebook and Instagram, just Christian Condra. That's about it. I don't have a website, none of that. But social media.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me, and I'm looking forward to checking out the film when it comes out, and seeing you murder more people.
Well, thank you.
No problem. Thank you. All right, so why don't you start off by just introducing yourself, saying your name and what your role in the production is?
I am Bobby. I am the cinematographer.
Josh, sound mixer.
Nice. So, how have you guys liked the production so far, and how's the production been going? I've been interviewing some of the actors, and this is the second weekend you guys have been doing it. And how's it going so far? How do you feel about the Man Who Loved Flowers?
I think it's been going great. We've been getting a lot of great shots. Cameron's a great director, so he really has a good vision for it, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So,
yeah, the town's been very helpful, I guess. Kind of lending hands here and there and feeding us, so it's always helpful.
Nice, yeah, and I see that you guys are working in the Arts Center today, and it's a nice location to just kind of have a nice kind of. The hallway that you guys are shooting in is it's off of the main entrance, but it has this seclusion to it that's kind of it's perfectly suited for this type of shot.
All the locations are very authentic, and that's what I like about it. It is an actual small Midwest town, so.
Nice.
I think it's great, like you said, with the secluded, the way it feels secluded, and even just the art. Just looking at some of the artwork, and this particular piece, you just feel the emptiness from it. So I think it plays great with the characters, especially with Christian, just ripping it apart. So I think he's doing great. I think it's all fitting the moral of the story and things like that. So.
Nice, yeah, and the particular painting that's being used in the shot is like I'm getting my first like real close look at it, and it's kind of cool because there's a lot of like shadows to it that's making it a little ominous, and I think that's going to come across really well in the film. So have you guys worked on any other films, or like are you guys all have you guys worked together before, or
Yes.
how's your history with the local Indianapolis film scene gone?
Yes, with the Indianapolis film scene, it's for me. I have met a lot of people. I've been grateful to meet people like Josh, who has brought me aboard on different projects, who has definitely just played a major impact in me getting out there and meeting a lot of more people who are doing film. Just a phenomenal guy on sound, scoring, just different things like that. So I'm very thankful for the people that I've met. Doing this, so it's been a great journey, and it's one that's still growing. So
that's awesome. How about you?
I like it, I guess.
Sure.
Bobby's great. We've worked on so many films together at this point, and it's only been about a year. So
that's amazing. Yeah. So what attracted you guys to doing like cinematography or doing sound? What was your push toward taking up that part of the filmmaking process?
Well, I started with music videos, and it was just this urge to do storytelling and just tell a story, and from that point, I always had a love for movies and film, and so that I feel like that passion was always there, and just getting the jump with doing videos, and was like, you know what, I kind of want to transition into doing films, and so we did our first short film, Fallen Shadows. Well, that was my first one that I actually directed, and like I said, Josh really pushed the urge. He really believed in the project, and it really helped me to get this vision out. So that was pretty much my transition and how I got started into doing like short films, and obviously working our way up to doing features and different things like that. So it's been a phenomenal process for me.
Nice, great. How about you?
Pretty much the same. I've always loved video or movies, and love music. So I kind of bridged that gap by doing that stuff. I guess sound work I kind of just fell backwards into, I guess, just because. It's all quite synonymous. So.
Right. Does it get really tiring holding the boom? Because I was watching, I was getting exhausted just watching you.
No, it's not that heavy. It's more just the awkward angles that but.
Nice. Okay. And are you going to be scoring this as well, or is?
No, I don't.
No, okay.
No, unfortunately not.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I do a lot of scores for several different kinds of film, mostly horror or some sort of suspense drama, but. So
nice, yeah. And how do you guys feel about the local Indianapolis, Central Indiana, film scene? Because I know that it's been kind of growing, or at least I've been getting more into spectating it, obviously, because I'm just a podcaster. But how do you feel about the kind of local scene and how the community is?
I think it's a growing community. Obviously, it needs more work, but it's definitely one that is growing, and I definitely see potential. But it's going to take all of us, filmmakers and people like you, coming together and just really getting it out there. I think that's more so what the Indianapolis film community needs. And like I said, it's a growing, and it's a process. It just doesn't happen overnight. So it is a process, and things like this is what helps us bridge this gap between people not knowing about the film community here in Indianapolis, because some people don't know that it's people like us here, and
right.
So I just think that working on projects like this and our own projects and just getting out there, meeting different people, working with different people, collaborating, that's what it's all about. So, I think that's what the filmmaking community needs.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. And I was telling Christian that when just watching you guys set up and everything and shoot it, it's just so fluid. Just how nice you guys seem to work together, and how throwing out suggestions, and there seemed to be no friction or anything like that. You guys are all kind of working together to get this completed and in the best possible way. And that's just a really refreshing way to see creative people working together in such a nice and effective way. And the shot looks like it came out really well too. So that was definitely cool to see.
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, it does need a lot of work still, but working in New York or LA on those bigger sets, it's a lot more of a job for people. So I mean, here it's a lot more passion, I suppose. People are doing it mostly for either free or back. So.
Sure. And then finally, do you guys have any background with Stephen King? Have you guys read any of his novels or seen any of his adaptations? And do you have a favorite one or anything?
Well, my favorite, what was it? Rose Red? Red?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite. And then obviously the classic It. That's another one of my favorites. So that's pretty much my favorite from the Stephen King collection.
Nice. How about you?
I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Stephen King fan, but I am a fan of Misery. I really enjoyed that, and I like a lot of the concepts that people come up with. And I know, it takes some balls to make a Stephen King film because he's very particular and very, for lack of a better term, whiny about it. And he will complain if it doesn't fit exactly the way he wants it to. So.
Yeah, exactly. One of the prime examples is Kubrick's The Shining is one of the best movies ever made, and he just hates it.
He hates it so much.
Yeah.
So much the fact that he made the remake with Steven Weber.
Which
made me laugh.
Yeah. It's cheesy, but as a purist, I like that it followed the book a little closer. But
it was a different film.
Yeah.
It was a different story. So Kubrick kind of just littered The Shining with a bunch of middle fingers to King, and they hated each other the whole time filming it. And we always wanted to do a short, just a skit of Stanley Kubrick getting drunk called by King while making The Shining. Just thought that'd be really funny.
That would be great. Nice.
Now, King.
Great. All right. Well, yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for chatting with me. Is there anywhere we can find you online or anything? Any presence online?
Oh yeah. Well, my Instagram and Facebook is Bobby Darko. That's 2 B's, 2 E's, and Darko as well. Or if you want to check out a lot of my work, you can go to Innovative Illusions. That's on Facebook and Instagram as well. That's a Z at the end of Illusions.
Perfect. And of course, I'll put the links to all these in the show notes of the episode. Anywhere we can find your work.
Just Facebook, really. Josh Beck. A lot of YouTube videos, just links and stuff like that. But I don't actually have a website or anything like that.
Perfect. Great. Well, thank you guys so much for chatting with me, and good luck with the rest of the shoot. And looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So why don't you give me your name and what your role is in the film?
My name is Christian Griffith, and I am behind the scenes.
Nice. Great. How do you feel the production's going, and how do you feel about The Man Who Loved Flowers?
It's going really well. I heard the story of The Man Who Loves Flowers, and it was really tragic. But now what they're doing with it, it's like you're seeing more of a backstory of the character, and you're getting a psychological depth, and it's just I never really expected doing a part of a horror film, but of course someday I was wanting to, just in my own way. But it's but working with this, it just gives us so much opportunity, and the people here is just absolutely amazing. Just like everybody in their own backgrounds, they're all professional and love what they do. And through this, I believe that everyone will find their own success through it.
Nice. Yeah, it seems like it's been a really cool production, very communal. Like it seems like there's a sense of camaraderie among everyone in the crew and everything, and it seems like it's going really well. So you said that you don't really see yourself doing much horror or anything. Do you? What's your history with working in film and production? Mainly, I want to do fulfill every type of genre in its own creative way that tells the truth in so many different ways as possible. But I might do maybe 2 horror films or someday in my life, like when I'm maybe 40 or 30. Sure. Probably 30. Sure. Have you been involved in the local filmmaker scene for long, or is this your first kind of outing? This is probably my second time on other people's productions. Okay. And last time I was just helping, assisting everything just by giving people drinks and stuff like that. Nice. And so she let me use her camera, and so I just started taking pictures, and so I did behind the scenes for them. And then I got contact with this guy, and he automatically started opening up to me, and he automatically wanted me to be behind the scenes guy without actually meeting me. So that was that was an amazing thing. Very cool. And so, trying to remember the question again. Oh, you're fine. Oh yeah. No, I remember now. Okay. All right. So. But mainly, I do my own little short films at home. But it's I'd never done an actual short film, but it's turned out to be sequences to be a promo for an actual short film I'm doing. Sure. But right now I'm just collecting stories from people and then creating my own stories, dreaming of stories, and then I'm gonna use that when the time that I'm able to. Very cool. And I've seen some of the behind-the-scenes shots that have been taken throughout the production. They look good, and it's yeah, and just everything seems like it's going really well and really great. Do you have any background with Stephen King? Do you read any of his stories, or have you seen any of his adaptations? I've seen a lot of his movies, which currently today I just watched one of his movies. Mm-hmm. Was it? No. I haven't seen that movie yet. I haven't seen the old one yet either, but I'm planning on it. Nice. But I forgot what's called. It's about a woman that the woman pretty much she came home to her mother on the island, and then she ended up trying to investigate her own mother, but because her mother is the one that killed her father, and then she's being accused of killing. It starts with the name. Do you know what I'm talking about? Or no? I'm vaguely familiar with that one, but I can't place it, and it's terrible because I have a Stephen King podcast. Let's see. Comes home to an island. So it's the mother's name. Okay. Is it Dolores Claiborne? Yes. Dolores Claiborne. Okay. So I watched that today. Nice. With Kathy Bates? Yes. Nice. With Kathy Bates, yeah. Nice. How'd you like it? It was really good. Just how everything was set up, the transitions. It was just, it was a really wonderful movie. Just they really got deep within each character, the emotion. So I'm all about emotion in movies. Mm-hmm. Very cool. And yeah, emotion is something that Stephen King really excels at. He kind of takes characters and develops them, and then kind of sets them around a supernatural or crazy situation. But that's one of the things that's really interesting about the whole Dollar Baby program, where it's you have a short story that, this one is 4 pages long, and then you can just kind of really dive into it and develop it, and some of the changes that are being made for this production, and some of the ways that they're expanding it, and that you guys are expanding the story is really, really fascinating, and really something I'm looking forward to seeing. No, I am too. Yeah. I definitely am too. Yeah. So. All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. Is there anywhere that people can find you online or anything? I would just say, Christian Griffith. Or if people want to email me, christian.griffith92@gmail.com, I guess. All right. Yeah. There you go. All right. Well, thanks again, and best of luck with the rest of the production. All right. Thank you. Yep. Okay. So let's see. So why don't you tell me your guys' names and what your role is in the production, and how the production's going so far for you.
My name is Adria. I'm a makeup artist here, and I think it's going pretty good. Nice. I'm Chelsea. and I'm also a makeup artist. I do the special effects stuff, and I think we're killing it. It's great.
Yeah, I was here for the shot where Jordan has the makeup and everything, and it just looked really, really great. And really gruesome. It was incredible. How do you guys have a history of doing makeup and special effects for films, or is this your first go of it?
I actually just do the boring stuff. So I do the pretty makeup. I don't do the special effects. I'm learning from Chelsea, but so for me, this is my first film. I'm in school for aesthetics right now, and I do want to be a makeup artist, so that's what kind of got me here. But Chelsea's the one about the special effects. So
nice. So what's your background with special effects?
Well, I've loved horror movies ever since I was a kid, so I just kind of fell into it, and things aren't so scary when you can, dissect it and see how they did it. So I don't know. I just really love, creating stuff like that.
Nice. So you're the one that's causing the fear in everyone when they see it. So nice. So have you guys done any work with other productions in the area, and how do you feel about the kind of the Indianapolis filmmaking community?
Well, this is my first film, so yeah, I've just done Halloween makeup for people or bridal stuff, just average makeup, and it's actually really interesting to see how it's all connected with the indie filmmakers. I mean, a lot of people have reached out to me over the past week, wanting to work with me and stuff, and so it's really exciting. I'm really excited for this opportunity.
That's fantastic. How about you?
Well, I grew up in the Indianapolis area, and so I was actually involved in the music side of it when I was in high school, and then I was a music major in college. So I've been involved in the arts community in Indianapolis before. This is my first time being involved on the makeup side since I decided to pursue it as a career. So I'm really excited to see where this side of the arts community takes me.
Fantastic. That's great. So this is a Stephen King adaptation for The Man Who Loved Flowers. Do you guys have any history with Stephen King, either books or movies, or how do you feel about Stephen King overall, and what's your favorite Stephen King story?
Well, I'm actually terrified of horror movies. But as far as Stephen King goes, my husband is a huge fan. My mother is a huge fan. I grew up with his books in my house and movies on TV. So I don't diss Stephen King just because I'm afraid of horror movies, but I don't know very much other than that. I definitely don't have a favorite. I think the only Stephen King movie that I've seen in its entirety is the original It movie, and I probably won't go see the remake because, again, I'm a big scaredy cat.
Sure, that's fair. How about you?
So Stephen King is like a god.
Nice.
Of horror. So I absolutely love him, Christine and all of the old movies. I just grew up with Stephen King, and he's, I love everything about him, so it's great.
Nice. And have you seen It yet?
I've seen the old It. I haven't seen the new It yet, but I'm terrified of clowns. So that's, Pennywise is terrifying. So.
Well, what better time than to face your fear than now? So that's what I'm saying. But yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for chatting with me. Is there anywhere that we can find you online for your work or anything?
I do have a Facebook page. It's Adria Meyer Artistry, and I also have an Instagram page that's just my first and last name, Adria Meyer. I have a Instagram page that's just Chelsea Emily, ChelseaEmile, and that's where I usually post my work.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much, and good luck with the rest of the shoot, and good job with all the makeup and everything. Yeah. Okay, so go ahead and tell me your name and your role in the film, and also you are a Shocktober and Irvington alum. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Shocktober for a while now. My name is Jordan Wheatley. I'm an actress. This is probably my 7th year doing it professionally. I've been doing it all my life otherwise. And I played one of the victims that the Man Who Loves Flowers mistakes for Norma.
Nice. And I was watching the shoot of one of the scenes, and just like I just really liked the way that it was done, and the way that it takes from the source material of the short story and kind of expands on it and makes it its own. I really like that. So you have a long history of doing of acting and everything, and you were in one of the short horror films at Shocktober and Irvington, Intruder 2, from the guys at Billy and Brandon. And so how do you feel about this production, and what attracted you to this one in particular?
What attracted me to this production was the fact that they had to actually go through Stephen King to get permission to do it. I felt like it was a really good opportunity to just, even make it on the map of his radar in any way, shape, or form. So that attracted me to it. And then our camera and sound guys, I've worked with them before, and I really, really enjoyed working with them professionally, and they're fantastic. So just those kind of things combined made me want to pursue this opportunity as well.
Very cool, very cool. And what did you do any prep work to get into the mindset of the victim?
I try to keep things as authentic as possible. So, playing a victim that's kind of caught off guard, I just try and put myself how did I feel, life experiences, when did I feel like that previously, and just try to think about those kinds of things.
Very cool. And how did you feel about the makeup effects? Because do you do that a lot? Are you in a lot of productions where it uses a lot of visual effects or anything?
As far as the makeup effects, I have only had a couple of instances where I've had anything like that done, but never to that extreme. That was actually quite a challenge for me. I am somebody that has clinically diagnosed obsessive-compulsive disorder, and that was actually quite triggering for me. So I tried to suck it up as best as I can and be a good sport and not be a drama queen by any means. But that was a challenge. She did a fantastic job. The pretty makeup looked beautiful. The terrible makeup looked awful in a great way. So, just tried to stay positive, and thankfully they helped me wash my hair in a bathroom sink.
Nice. Well, that's cool that you were able to overcome that, and then the shoot looked like it went great, and it looked incredible. What are some other projects that you've worked on previous or coming up?
Right now, I'm in the midst of producing a feature. It's called Mystery Indiana, and I will have a small part in that as well. We're shooting mainly in Bloomington and the south central region of Indiana, and I'm working on producing and storyboarding another film. It's only got a working title right now, but that is with my friend Emmanuel Carter, who is big in the Indiana film scene as well. So those are the two projects that I'm kind of focusing on right now. Just a couple small things kind of in the pipeline, but nothing concrete yet besides those two.
Nice, that's awesome. And you said that you're not too familiar with Stephen King or anything. Do you have any adaptations or anything that you enjoy, or anything in terms of Stephen King?
I like what I've seen and read of his, but like the makeup artists were saying, I love scary stuff, but I'm also really afraid of scary stuff as well. So it takes a lot for me to watch something. I want to read and watch more of the things. I'm actually going to start on the Dark Tower series soon. I've heard so many good things about that, and I want to read it before I actually see the movie. But other than that, I'm still kind of new. I'm a big reader, though, but I haven't really read anything new in a long time. I just keep rereading Harry Potter.
Sure. I just got on my wish list on Audible, all the Harry Potter books, and I'm like, okay, each month I can get the next Harry Potter book, because I've read them, and I've read them on physical paperback. I've read them on Kindle, and I'm kind of also want to read listen to them, but yeah, so that's something I definitely understand that. Yeah. But as far as the Dark Tower, obviously I'm a huge fan of the Dark Tower, and all I'll say is that lower your expectations before you see the movie, because the movie is kind of a mess. But the book series is my favorite thing, bottom line favorite thing in the world in terms of fandom and stuff. So yeah, and it's not too scary or anything. It's more an amalgam of fantasy, sci-fi, and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully you like it.
Yeah.
And yeah. Yeah.
The first thing of Stephen King's that I'd ever seen was Christine, and I was very, very young, so I just vaguely remember it and being terrified by it. But my dad loves cars and rebuilds cars, so that was like, and he wanted to watch a car kill people, I guess. I don't know.
Sure. Nice. And how do you feel about filming here in Greenfield? This is like when I was driving in, I was just thinking like, this is a Stephen King town. Like this looks like a Stephen King setting. So have you ever shot anything here in Greenfield, or do you have any experience with Greenfield? And how's the experience been here?
Ironically enough, I just did a radio play for J.P. Leck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so who is another Shocktober alumni, and we're going to be shooting the short film of the radio play that we just shot next year. I don't know why I forgot to mention that before, but Greenfield is like a quintessential small town. This restaurant that we're next to is super adorable, and, I live about an hour away from here, about 30 minutes the other direction of Indianapolis, so I have literally never been here except for a couple of occasions for business, but it's a really cute small town. It's a great location for this.
Yeah, absolutely, and it seems like the whole community has really come out and support you guys and what you're doing, and that must be such a great feeling, and it must really make the set even more enjoyable.
It definitely does, and, this is a podcast, so you can't see where we're at, but we've been doing makeup at a folding card table in the parking lot of a restaurant, and when they were doing my gory makeup, all the waiters and waitresses and the people eating out on the patio were coming out and taking pictures of me with my face all chewed up, and I just kept awkwardly waving and saying hi, and then we had to cross the street, and everybody driving by was like, oh god, what's happening over here? It was pretty funny.
Nice. That's fantastic. And finally, like, where can people find you online, or any of your work online and everything?
I have a Facebook page. It's Jordan Lee Wheatley, and Lee is Leigh, and then I have an Instagram account under my first, middle, and last name as well. I'm working on building a website and a YouTube channel as well.
Fantastic. Awesome. And well, that's great. Thank you so much for chatting with me, and good luck with the rest of the shoot and with all of the other things you got going on and everything. I'm here with Rick Connell, who's going to be scoring The Man Who Loved Flowers. So, tell me about your history with music, and have you ever scored a film before?
I have never scored a film before. I've scored some shorts back in college. My experience with music is I've been doing music with bands for the last 15 years, and I always wanted to get back into doing stuff with film and TV, and I saw Cameron had posted that he got the contract back, and I know Cameron from the band I was in, Real. We'd done some work with him before at some of the festivals, and I jumped in as soon as I possibly could and said, hey, do you have anybody have you slated a composer yet? And he said no. I said, I want to do it. So he says it's yours, and we'll get with the board and determine it. Okay. So I was pretty pumped about that. So I'm excited. I've been doing a lot of homework since May on how to just kind of get my scoring chops back up, and listening to a lot of films that are similar in genre, just to kind of get my ears around some of the Stephen King films, and try to pay some homage to some of the stuff that's been done before as well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about doing it.
That's awesome. What homework have you done? Like, what specific films are you looking at?
I've been listening to some stuff by Hans Zimmer, as far as like some of the stuff that he's done. I know he's a really, really popular film composer, but I've also been listening to some of John Williams' stuff that's kind of newer as well, which is kind of interesting to watch how his music style has progressed in the last number of years. Yeah. Everybody talks about post Hans Zimmer because he's so rapidly changed in the last 15 years, changed the way music's been done for film. Yeah. And so I've been listening to the stuff from The Ring 1 and 2. I've listened to some of the stuff from the new It movie and stuff like that, just to kind of get an idea of what's being done that's new. I'm having a blank now. All the stuff I've done. Okay, we're not going to be interrupted.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, that's some of the stuff that I've been listening to.
Sweet. Have you seen the new It movie?
I have not seen the new movie yet. I need to find a time when I don't have a 2-year-old.
Right. Right. It is. It's really good.
I've seen a lot of the outtakes from it, or the shorts that have kind of propped up on the internet here and there. Probably not legally.
Right.
And man, they have made it. It feels darker than the first one.
Oh, absolutely. And very true to the book as well.
Yeah.
It's really, really remarkable. Really remarkable movie. I'm looking forward to. They're going to do another one. So how about your history with Stephen King? Have you read any of his work or seen any?
Read very little of his work.
Okay.
It's something that has piqued my interest. I'm kind of a fan of some of the TV stuff that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Like Under the Dome was really cool. It's just kind of not what I would have expected to be a Stephen King story, which was kind of shocking to me.
Sure.
I read some stuff early on in high school, but I just don't remember specifics and stuff like that.
Sweet. I recommend reading Under the Dome because the book is amazing.
I have friends tell me about the Dark Tower series. They say it's amazing.
I am planning my 2 Dark Tower tattoos as we speak. It's my favorite thing ever. Hence why I started a Dark Tower Stephen King podcast. If you ever read that, read it, ignore the movie. The movie was...
I've heard that several times.
Yeah, the movie was not in keeping with the book at all, the series, which is fine, but it's also not because they really butchered it, but so to kind of wrap up, like, where can people find your work online, like your music and anything?
They can go to arconmusic.com or rick-connell, CONNELL.com. They can find my music from my past bands that I've been in, and also the music that will be coming out for The Man Who Loved Flowers. And I'm just going to kind of be cataloging and kind of documenting my process through writing the score. And so if you want to check out stuff like there while I'm going through that process as well, it will be awesome to share the experience.
Perfect. All right. Well, great. I can't wait to see what you do with The Man Who Loved Flowers, because I've seen some of the scenes as they were shot, and it's just I can't wait to see what kind of music's played underneath it. So it's gonna be awesome. Yeah. So well, thank you so much for your time, and hope you.
Hope the music goes well.
Hope it goes well. Yeah. Best of luck with everything, and congratulations.
I appreciate it.
All right, and thank you once again to 5 After 5 Productions and the cast and crew of The Man Who Loved Flowers for taking the time to talk to me and letting me be there while you guys were working so hard on what is going to be such a great adaptation of King's work. And I can't wait to see the finished product and can't wait to see what you guys do next. That's the thing that's kind of... The underlying thing about all of this is that Indianapolis, we're not LA, we're not New York, we're not this big city that's we're not even Atlanta where they film a lot of stuff or anything. We are this city that doesn't have this big like film presence, but the creative force within Indianapolis and the creative community within Indianapolis and the filmmaker community within this city is incredible. Like, everyone is so passionate about their work and about it, and there's no like ego or anything. It's all just people pursuing their dreams and pursuing their creative endeavors in a way that they want to. And it's so wonderful to be able to speak to people that live in Indianapolis and create in Indianapolis. That's one of the best things about having multiple podcasts related to movies and TV shows in Indianapolis is I get to talk to people that work in Indianapolis in film and television. So, so it's just a great honor to be able to talk to them about it, and hope you guys enjoyed the interviews. And once again, check out 5after5productions.net. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff. I'll put all the links in the show notes. And I'll be posting on the Tower Junkies Facebook page updates as they come about with The Man Who Loved Flowers. I have some pictures that I'm going to post alongside this episode, so be on the lookout for that. And also on Instagram, I'll be posting as well at Tower Junkies Pod. So once again, thank you so much to Cameron and 5 After 5 Productions, and can't wait to see what you guys do next. And thank you guys for listening to this special episode of Tower Junkies. And may you have long days and pleasant nights. Thank you for listening to Tower Junkies, a Dark Tower podcast presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at TowerJunkiesPod.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or anywhere else podcasts are found. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can find ways to do that at TowerJunkiesPod.com/donate, or become a patron for Obsessive Viewer at Patreon.com/ObsessiveViewer for recurring donations with different reward tiers. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. You can contact us by emailing us at matt@obsessiveviewer.com or by tweeting us at TowerJunkiesPod or at ObsessiveViewer and at ObsessiveTiny. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/TowerJunkiesPod. For more podcast content from ObsessiveViewer.com, check out Anthology, my solo side project podcast where I'm reviewing The Twilight Zone as a first-time viewer and exploring other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology television shows. You can find Anthology at anthologypod.com and anywhere podcasts are found. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the app of your choice. Once again, thank you for listening to Tower Junkies, and we'll see you next time.